And we're going live. We're hitting up the Twitter. We'll see. And we begin the advertising assault. Attack! This time we're going into art. Yep, we have some exciting stuff to do today, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Yum. Da, 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 da. Might have to turn that up just a bit. Alrighty. Ready. So, today is our free day stream, and I decided I wanted to work on Ezelf more. So, here is our parts. This part, the two wheels, and the arm. Green stuff is cured. The everything is cured and in place. The only thing I may be waiting. No, it should be good now. I have glued him to the base, as you can see. I have glued him to the base. And now we're going to apply a layer of paint before we actually do our primer. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because I want this all to be the same color, and I don't think I'm going to be able to control that very well before the primer. I could do this post-primer, but I've decided to do this. Am I being silly? I suddenly find myself doubting whether or not I should prime this first, then spray over the primer, and then do this over the primer. That's a... That's an interesting question, actually. Curious. What do we think here? So this is why we're experimenting. So let me show you the texture paint that I've mixed up here. So I've got this one here, which I'm not using. This is Salt Ramekin. This is actually my sister's suggestion. In just black paint. Just black acrylic paint. And this is this fairly chunky stuff. You can see it piling up pretty well right there. Was sawdust collected from my garage. I have some old woodworking tools in there, and I collected the sawdust from it. And this is my brush that I'm using. This is a sacrificial brush that I don't care about. Now I'm trying to decide if I should primer. I think I still... This is hard to say. Whether I should apply this texture paint first, then paint over it, or should I prime the model, apply this. Now most of the time I see people applying this direct to bases. So I think that is what I'm going to do, and then I will prime it. But we are experimenting here. You can see the buildup this stuff gets, and I'm hoping I got enough here. But I will show you how to make some more if we run out. But you can see it's nice and clumpy because of the wood fibers. And the intent, actually, mainly, is to get it... Let's set this over here. Is to get globs of this stuff over the flat areas to kind of build up texture, especially around like this flat area of dirt and like mud, or in this case it's mostly dust is what we're like kind of cloying metallic dust you find on an asteroid that kind of cakes on. See there, we're kind of piloting it up around the edges. And I don't think we have quite enough. There's actually some other stuff in this, on account of a lot of this having come from the literal floor of my garage. But again, the point is to build up. You can already see the texture building up there on the side. Again, the point is to get rid of this. Ooh, that was almost a major mistake on my part. Almost flooded this thing with more sawdust. Which I might have to, because I might need to make some more, because this actually, I'm going through this pretty fast. But you can already see that we have some really good progress around the edge here of texturing this whole thing. Once we've done this, I'm going to let it dry, and while we're waiting for it to dry, I will do some come on out. Sometimes it's a little difficult to get this stuff out of the bristles. I actually am not 100% certain I should be using a brush for this. That perhaps like a spatula or maybe one of my green stuff tools might have been a smarter play here. Which in fact, I'm just going to try this with one of my green stuff tools. But once we paint this up, I kind of want to scoop this. Yeah, this kind of works a little bit better to use a rigid tool rather than a... Once we paint this up, while we wait for it to dry, because I want it to be dry, I am going to do some sacrificial green stuff experimentation. This is not for easel, this is for later models. But namely, I want to try and get a scaly, like a pelt of scaly skin. Okay. Okay, so we need a little bit more paint. I'm a little afraid to dump too much of my black. But here we go. Gonna add that. You don't need a lot of sawdust. I'm just using a little pinch here, because this stuff is powerful. Well, we want a little more than that, though. And you're just looking for when it kind of starts to clump together. When it starts to form like this. See, you can see how it's clumpy. That's what we're working with here. left off. I had left off here. Now I'm doing a very large base here, so I kind of need a lot of this stuff. Now one of the things is I'm trying to avoid getting too much of it on this molten green stuff, because I want this molten green stuff to appear kind of like it's on top of this the dirt. So I want to be careful with applying that and not getting that on top of it. I'll make sure to wash this green stuff to it. But we're going to try and get some and use some green stuff to make some snake scales. Something that looks snake scaled. So now I'm going to look around the edge and see if we could use a little bit more right here. Just kind of get it in there. And it's okay if I get some on his feet. Like, I actually kind of ideally do want some on his feet, you know? I'm using some of this other batch that's kind of been mixed. It's a little more coarse, just to get some extra stuff. Okay. So now we have the rim of this thing is now done. Now I'm going to make some more. I know I have a bucket of older paints here somewhere at hand. Let's see if we can use some of those, perhaps? Where did I set that bucket? I know I sorted them out and took the ones out that I really wanted to make sure I was using. I guess we're going to still start working with our black. We're going to keep working at it. But again, we don't want to use a lot of sawdust. We want to kind of eyeball it, because we don't want to overkill this. It'd be very easy to overkill this whole thing and just turn it into black sawdust. And I don't want the sawdust to swell and absorb too much moisture, so I've not thinned this paint with water, which is a purposeful choice, because I don't want to thin it too much. I want this to cloy and stick to things. Now, at this stage, what we're going to do, we're going to get in here into some of these. I'm actually going to want a big wad right in here. Into some of these cracks here in the middle. And it's okay if we're a little messy. Like I said, dirt tends to be messy. I don't know how well you can see down in there in this crack right here that I've globbed some in, and I actually think I got enough. Hey! Boyle Druid! Oh, hey! Oh, no! I'm set to Arma, aren't I? Well, thank you for the follow, but I'm gonna have to fix that. Where is the... Oh, thanks for the heads up, my friend. Also, where did my stream information go? I'm still set to Arma. Greetings. How are you? Welcome to the stream. We're doing art today. So I don't know how long you've been watching, but today we are, this is part of my Irontide Wolves project, where I am making my own Primaris Space Wolf chapter for Warhammer 40k. And this is a Redemptor Dreadnought, and I'm currently working on the base. And I have some, like a wrecked vehicle here that he'll be dragging, and his legs. Sorry if you don't like Primaris, but Primaris actually tickle me in a way that I like. I think they look better, and I like some of the, I like the implications of how the warriors of Fenris have to deal with a bunch of an influx of warriors who are not from Fenris. It's a relatively interesting story arc to me. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Space Wolves tend to be my favorite, mostly because they just... I think it has to do with the food. They eat actual food. That might be it. But everybody has their own favorites, right? But what we're doing here... Also, I've 3D printed all of these parts. Like, there are no other components. This is all of this stuff started as gray goo in a bottle. And right now, I'm working on the base, and I have constructed texture paint from sawdust and black paint. I'm just using black because black was what I had on hand and had in some number. Oh, the only piece that I didn't 3D print is the base. Because the base is a little bit too big for my 3D printer. It's actually too big for a Dreadnought, but I don't intend on playing on the tabletop with this stuff. I sure as hell can't go into events with this stuff. They'd kick me right out. So, but we are currently mucking up. Let's get some mud on his feet here. His 2 feet are too clean. Mucking this up in order to hide the, like, smooth base underneath so that it doesn't look right. And I've used chunks of quartz to make these rocks, which is a classic. There. Now we have one area left that we really need to make sure we do, and that's behind the foot here. Thank you for letting me know to change my stream. Also, hello to my other lurkers. I see you there. I have not forgotten you. Alright. And you'll get to watch me make another little batch here. I'm trying not to overuse it because I don't want to waste my black paint. I gotta wait a bit before I got the... Ooh, that stuff that's... I don't want in there. I got a bit to wait before I can buy another set of this paint, which... This is just the Vallejo model color starter set. It was nice and affordable. Oh, yes. I do actually really love the white scars. These were almost white scars. I think the white scars are actually rather interesting. Just see if we can see in there. And this is... Got it back in here. And kind of tilt it this way in the light so that I can see. Yeah, I almost did white scars. I just decided I wanted to do some Space Wolves just because... You know, I'm gonna be honest. I had just read the Ragnar Blackmane books. That's why. Like, I hadn't dressed that up, but I read the Ragnar Blackmane series. And I just fell in love. And I'm like, ooh, I like these guys. You know, I couldn't turn it down when the one Space Wolf shows up with his foot stuck in a bucket and he doesn't even care. So do you play at all, Boyle? Yeah, a lot of Space Wolves lack that particular facet. Although, don't let them fool you. Don't let them fool you. If you ever want to read up on how smart Russ actually was, read up on the watch packs. And how he basically called that there was a traitor in the ranks right after Magnus. He's like, yo, something's up. He was wrong on who it was, though. Actually, to be fair, he suspected everybody, so I guess he was right, but nothing came of it. Well, plenty came of it, but not enough to stop anything. Yeah, I used to play at a game store here. I don't anymore. That game store's not around, unfortunately. I play on Tabletop Simulator nowadays, which is fun. But these are not for actual play. What do you think? I'll let you look. I'm going to slowly rotate it like this way. One of my lights is out, so we're just going to have to make do. What do you think? Do you see any spots that are like really missing? They look all right to me for the most part. I might want to spread that part out just a little bit. Yeah. I'm going to paint this green stuff here. So I 3D printed an orc buggy bit, and I've cut it up. And this is going to be a plasma impact. The green stuff here is going to be molten metal. And his right arm is going to be... I might have to do a little sanding to actually make that work a bit better, but he's going to be holding on to this, and he's going to be dragging the front half of this engine block that's melted and sloughing out there behind him as he's turned... Whoop, let's get him center framed. Turned this way, firing. Hey, Sariat! A woo indeed! You couldn't see the sound. I'm just going to show off. I'm pretty proud of the battle damage here that I did on him. That was pretty good. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the Arcane Arts and Crafts. 1 second. The Gremlin wanted some super glue. She has her sniffing habits. Alright. So, okay. So we're gonna let this dry. And then... let's see, what's the best kind? I'm just gonna borrow this one. Because this mat has become a mess right here, but this is fine. Okay. So basically, we're gonna wait for this to dry. Once it is dry, I will take these parts. We'll take a short break. I will take these parts downstairs and prime them. And I'll probably take a few other bits with me to prime, so that I can use them as test pieces for techniques that I'm using along the way. Also, by the way, I love to share this with everybody, but make sure you get your tires from Good Orc. It's actually not that hard to get into it. There's a whole Discord server for it. It's a little complicated to like set up an army. Because you have to use like Battle Scribe or something to then translate it to there, and then you have to get the models. But there's a Discord server where they do the whole thing. They have like a whole pack that you download and stuff. It's actually pretty cool. Oh yeah. That was something I tried to do, is try to find another streamer to teach to play if they wanted to play. I just never found anyone. The offer's still open if someone wants to take it. Obviously, it would have to be at another time, but... And you'd have to start simple. Sure. Tell you what. While this is drying, since we don't need to touch that, what do you say you hit me up on, let's see, Boyle Druid. I should be following you. Yes, I am following you. I'll hit you with a DM here with a invitation link to the server. We'll do invite someone. Copy. Let's try that. There you go. Also, hello. We can do that. We can start with that. You can check that. It's a big server with a ton of people on it. It's going to be confusing at first, but it's a start. But yeah, I can teach you how to play. What's your favorite faction? Because it'll probably be easiest if I like make a 500-point army for you at first. What's your favorite faction in the game? Oh, you're already in the Discord. Yeah, it is hard. It took me a long time to realize that I liked Space Wolves the most. Oh, you like Necrons, huh? Are you a new Crons lover or an old Crons lover? Oh, okay. We're gonna get along. I like the new Crons better than the old Crons. The old Crons were just... Yes, he is amazing. I love him. Trazen is just a treasure. The old Crons were like soul-eating evil number 342, right? Alright, so I'm going to... Where's my scalpel? Get me a bit of green stuff. Are you familiar with green stuff at all? Yeah, it's a two-part epoxy putty, plastic putty. That is blue and yellow parts, and you'll mix it. On that, we can agree about Matt Ward. Matt Ward was on something. Like, he made some very strange choices. That's putting it lightly. I still have physical copies of codexes written by Matt Ward. I know, right? And in the process of, like... Alright, I'm gonna admit this. I actually really like Ultramarines. But I hate Matt Ward's Ultramarines. Because in the process of playing favorites like that, he kind of took away... It's okay if this water is dirty. We're not doing anything important. Yeah, he kind of took away what was actually cool about them with the whole Codex Astartes and, like, tactical intelligence. And their, like, flexibility. Or, like, have you ever read any of the Ultramarines novels? Or played the game Space Marine? Also, I'm just rolling out some green stuff here in order to flatten it out so that I can work on it. Yeah, that's actually one of, like, the key features of... Oh, it's over here. Okay. I'm going to take this. We're going to grab a thing here, and we're going to wash this off. Yeah. That's one of the key things, is that dealing with, like, treating the Codex Astartes as dogma and like thinking flexibly with their commanding officers and stuff is like a core part of their story. But Matt Ward was like, the Codex Astartes is perfect. This was very strange decisions. Then again, it was hard to take Matt Ward seriously after he had Calgar like fisticuffs a goddamn avatar of Cain. Like, come on, man. Okay, so now I am looking. I swear to God, I had just picked it out here. Was it this piece? This like triangular indentation? Let me see about this. No, that's not what I was looking for. Somehow I did not get this surface wet enough, but we will just have to live with our mistake and just see what we can do. Maybe here we can just kind of... let that zoom in there. That doesn't really look like scales, does it? Let's try... No, that's not quite right. Well, maybe. This is a screwdriver, by the way. I mean, in fairness, a lot of what Matt Ward did has already been basically deleted. Not everything, but a lot. Gonna just scrape this off there. Oh, mine went right through the paper plate. By the way, this is why we make sure we use enough water when working with green stuff, because this stuff is sticky. But a lot of the stuff lore for Matt Ward just basically gets ignored these days. Also, yes, again, I am using dirty ass water for this. Sue me. I don't know if this is gonna work the way I want it to. So what I'm trying to do right now is, one of the things I'm trying to do is I want them to have pelts of creatures, which is a very Space Wolf thing, but because this is a successor chapter, the Irontide Wolves, I'm not, I don't want it to just be wolves. In fact, these two pelts are going to be from two different creatures. Just make sure that's not behind there. And yeah, I got to do a little cleaning on this one because the glue kind of overflowed. And I need some way to make roughly equal-sized triangles that I can just, like, edit over and over and over again. That are not too big. And I'm just trying to look through my tools that I have here. Let's see about this boyo. We have some blue tack. A or something roughly cylindrical that I don't have to worry about a knife on the other end of it. This'll do. Alright, let's try this. So what I've done here is I've taken a circular piece, blue tacked it to the end of the screwdriver. Now I'm going to see if I can get it to do what I want by like pushing it in from the side. The answer is no. The concept was sound, looking at what's happened here. The concept is sound, but the curvature is not extreme enough. Probably because the part's too small. So does that mean we could maybe try this? This would produce maybe curved scales? No, this is too thick. Try this again with a larger point. Go that way and mess that up. Let's try this again. This is slowly going to get harder and harder, but we're just kind of doing what we can at this point. Where this is sacrificial green stuff. So Boyle, you have a favorite Necron unit? Because I'm doing brainstorming on like a little 500-point army. You like Doomsday Arcs? Are you just a warrior fan? Like the Scorpex? They do not exist as part of Necrons anymore, no. Pariahs are a, like, Imperial thing. No. Yes, flayed ones still exist. I actually really like the new flayed ones. Yeah, flayed ones are still a thing. Yeah. From the Dawn of War series. Most of those units are still around. Destroyers are still a thing. Warriors, Immortals. The Nightbringer is still a thing, although 500 points, the Nightbringer is going to be most of your army, and that's probably not going to end well. Scales. Yeah, it looks like I might have to make like a tool or something on that can make scales. Because the idea is I want to make little triangles that are tell you what, instead of just guessing, how would I tell you? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Trazen the Infinite. You could probably fit him. He's only 100 points. He's not that expensive. He's not one of those characters that's like a super huge beat stick, you know? He's not barreling into enemy units and just wiping them out. He's a buff character. Oh, that's so cool. He also apparently, when you kill him, he can instead swap places with another Necron character, and the other character dies instead. That's funny. Let's see. Nice. If the model included the dynastic heirlooms as a stratagem. I don't know what that is. Oh, that one. Oh, wow. You get to do that for free if he's in your army. That's cool. Otherwise... yeah, he's otherwise a pretty basic Necron overlord, except that he's got the surrogate hosts rule. And his empathic obliterator, which I think is a slightly better melee weapon. So yeah, he's not that expensive. I can definitely include him if you would like. I can't claim that your Necron list will be particularly amazing on account of I've literally never played Necrons before. I've played against them a bunch, but I've never played them. Here I am still just fiddling with this green stuff, trying to find some sort of piece that will help me out here. Oh yeah, what is it? Nemesis Zandrak? Yeah. He's the one who's like still thinks it's eons ago, right? This isn't gonna work either. Hello? What about this? That's probably not gonna work. A little too wide, I think. Also, it's very small, so my control with it is kind of awkward. Oh yeah. What was his bodyguard's name? I can't remember. But he's the one who, he's like the completely lucid bodyguard. Just at Oberon, yeah. Yeah, he's the completely lucid Oberon to the wacko still lives in the past. That's totally pathetic. That's not working. I might have to legit print a tool for this. Interesting. Scales. Oh, you know what? Oh my god, that's a food tasters for the machine man. Oh, that's amazing. I forgot. You're right. I forgot that. Although one of my favorite, like, actual cool Necrons and food story is the Imperial Armor book, The Fall of Orpheus, where the Minarch dynasty rises, and Minarch is deeply affected by the Flayer curse. And they secretly kidnap the sector governor in order to basically implant a message in him to get him to, like, tell him stuff. basically to tell him, get the heck off our system, out of our sector. These are our worlds. And they hold a banquet for him. There's just like all kinds of carved up flesh, and the head of the Minarch dynasty is just smushing it into his face and just pouring goblets of blood down his like non-existent throat while they're telling him that you need to leave. These are our worlds. Leave or be exterminated. And of course he like freaks out and like blocks the memory. And it only occurs to him as a recurring nightmare. Of the, I think they called him the Red King. So I have an idea. So this is a green stuff fur texture plate. This allows me to roll green stuff out on it, and it will imprint a fur texture to it. That's actually how I got this fur and this fur. I need to grind that bit in the top out because it's annoying me. In fact, I will do that while I am talking out loud. I might be able to print a texture plate. Crazy as that sounds, I think I can do that. Yeah, we don't want this one. I'm just using a file here to grind this down so that it's a little bit nicer. So that the glue isn't quite as nasty. That way once it's, even though it looks white here, it won't show up at all once it's painted. Alright, okay. I'm gonna give this just a moment longer to dry, but I'm gonna check something. Really? I've not heard of that. That's actually kind of crazy. That he knows, but he's... Okay. Does that make him crazier? I feel like that makes him crazier than if he was damaged. It's a brand new world. I've decided I'm just gonna be weird. I'm not knocking it, mind you. It's probably what I would do. But I feel like that makes him more crazy than if it was the other way. Alright, I will actually share my screen with you in just a moment once I actually... where is Yagi? There we are. Alright, we're gonna switch from the desk cam. This is Yagi. This is where I often hunt for STLs. It currently has me at lizards. Cause I might be able to find... What's an Escher lizard plate? Something that I can print in order to allow me to make... Oh, that's cute. Look at that. It's a bunch of little geckos together. But I might be able to find something that will let me etch. What if I put in lizard skin? Oh, here we are. Oh, that website doesn't work. None of those are gonna work. Because it's from Formit. The Lizard Cube. That's not a word. Those are not two words I ever expected to see next to each other. Okay, this is like one of those puzzle cube things that's kind of cool. Does have a, what do you think? Does that have a lizardy texture to it? Yeah, it's a little more, it's more lizardy than snaky. Because I'm looking for like a sea serpent or an eel. Yeah, let's try snakeskin. Let's see what shows up. Yeah, it's lizardy, but I think I'm actually looking more for... Not gonna lie, I know it's an AR-15 grip, but that actually could theoretically be the right texture. That is not what I expected to find here in the STLs today, but there it is. Oh. Everybody should have a buddy snake. Look at him. He's like those wooden snakes that are like a strip of leather with the wood. He looks cute. That's pretty snaky. Problem is that will give me an inverted pattern, wouldn't it? Is this free? Or is this a pay for? We'll hang on to that one for a moment. Try snake scale. A snake scale pop socket. Oh, hello. What the fuck is a pop socket? Oh, okay. I don't have one of those for my phone. I did not know those existed. However, this looks like an inverted design. I don't know, we're gonna go ahead and... Alright, we're gonna keep a hold of that one. I'm gonna switch you back to desk cam for a moment while I do this, just in case it tries to show something. But I will... Yeah, this like rock, this like generic rock background's actually been pretty banging. All right, here once Lychee loads in, I'll switch you back from the desk cam. And here is Lychee. Interesting. I would need it to be smaller. And it does appear to be hollow. Or like those are actual holes. That's supposed to be that way? I'm gonna try and clip into the object here. I might be able to use this though. It's a tad large. All right, hold on, let me... But it isn't that large, to be honest. So let's see. Do you think those scales are too big? So it's this. It would be this way up. Oh, sorry. Here is a Space Marine shoulder pad for reference. Feel like I probably do want it to be just a tad smaller. So this thing's not going to be very big. It's only going to be... Not very big at all. But I still think I could use this. Wouldn't be perfect. Damn right. I was just gonna let that pun walk away. You swooped it up like a hawk. Just off it goes. So in order to affect that size, you can't see this, but I'm literally holding up a shoulder pad to the screen. Well, where's... I mean, it's worth a shot, eh? Actually, this thing is only gonna need light supports. It's half hollow. Alright, export slices the fire. We get to look at an advertisement for a few minutes. For 20 seconds, because I don't have the professional version. This is actually pretty cool. Look at that. I like that. Freaky, like, multi-leg demon horse thing. And we get to see the process of it doing that. Okay. And one thing I'm going to do is just do a bigger version. If I was an intelligent person, I would put them on the same print. We have solutions to this. Oh, that's not gonna work, is it? Oh, okay. We suffer for our hubris. And we watch another advertisement. Same advertisement. Cool zombie guys. Are there any parts in there? I kind of like that spear. Spear's kind of cool. Yeah. Snake pump. Good. Ooh. Save. Yeah, this might work. Okay, we don't need to open folder. Oh, we can go here. We're just gonna scroll down for 1 second through the rest of this page. Just see if some sort of... Well, we'll do one more page. Okay. So that looks like our best bet. I'm going to take us back to the desk cam here. Scoot it over, and we're going to take a look at our base. Oh, yeah. So our base is pretty much dry. Now this does mean... I'll just use this one, it's not going to kill anybody. That it is time for a short break. I say short break. I will take this piece, I'll take this tire, and this piece. As, unfortunately, at this, my current setup, I cannot do the priming step here in this room because I use a rattle can for it. Spray can. And you can imagine that will be a mess in a room with carpet. So, I'm just gonna have to step away. I should only be away a couple minutes. I'm just gonna, here, tell you what, let's do this. This is where I would put a loading screen if I had one. So, I'm going to step away for just a moment while I go prime these, and then I will return with the primed models. And then while they're drying, we will fuck around some more. We'll find something to do. Alright, so I'll be right back. Stay tuned. And we're back. I hope you guys found something to do while I was off gallivanting around in my garage. But here you can see I've taken us back to desk cam to show you how this all turned out. Also, holy crap, that texture paint worked so goddamn well. I can't touch it because it's not dry yet. But holy shitoli, that texture paint sure did fucking work. Like, goddamn. Everything's been primed Mechanica Standard Gray. It's one of the few, like, GW products I'm actually using here. I actually have some shades and stuff that I use from them as well, like the ever-useful Agrax Earth Shade. Soda. So, we have this in place. I'm very pleased with it. Sorry, I'm just kind of taking this in, just looking at the way the base turned out. And I think it turned out really well. Once it's dry, I can pick it up and show you the details a little bit better. Scoot back over here. Does leave us with the question of what now? Because I would like to continue working on this, but I need to wait for now. I've actually think for future Arcane Arts and Crafts, once I can and I've assembled the supplies to do so, I'm going to try and do 2 projects at the same time, because a lot of the time I reach stages just like this where I need to wait to get this done, and I could start working on another project. That's why I was trying out the snake scale experimentation, and you saw me go get the STL for a pop socket. I probably won't do that tonight. That'll be a bit much. It's also kind of cold and humid, so it's not exactly great weather for 3D printing. Here, hold on. Maybe I can get you... There we go. Alright, yeah, I can actually hold this up here and kind of get the angles in there. Look at how good that texture came out. We can see Ardbuster. It's a little bit hard to read, actually. Unfortunately, I got a little bit of extra gunk on there. That's fine, though. I'll spell it out better with paint. We got Orc says Fasta there, because this is supposed to be a custom booster blaster on the base. Wow, dude. Okay, how good this looks. I mean, it looks good in gray, much less anything else. Here, tell you what, while we got a moment, I will show off some of my previous work for those of you who haven't been here. Eh? How about that? That sounds like fun to me. Well, we're letting this gorgeous piece of plastic, it's actually resin dry. How about I go ahead and show you Squad Rayloff, or Pack Rayloff. This was my first run of actually doing the entire workflow. It's a pack of Primaris Intercessors. And this was my first run of going from concept to STLs all the way to a completed model. And here we have Squad Leader Rayloff. Get it to focus. Come on, you can do it. You can do it, camera. There we are. He's got an axe, which is my stand-in for a Thunderhammer. It's like a frost axe. He's got himself a Gene Stealer head. This is actually a Broodlord head, but Stuff Broodlord head. The base I did up as deck plating because the Irontide Wolves, their specialty is taking down space hulks, large ships, things like that. They're kind of like whalers or hunters as kind of a theme. Yeah, I just realized something that looks alright, but kind of now depresses me. Oh, when did that happen? Sad face. The back of his handle broke off. Well, he still looks like he's got a pretty sick axe, but the handle broke off. It's supposed to be almost as tall as he is. When did that happen? Aw. That STL, I think I am like a little bit leery of because it is a little bit fragile, I think. Still, he looks okay without it. I'm a bit sad about that though. So he is damaged. But this is my practice run. This is before some other details got thing. Like for instance, you can see that he's got the come on. The wolf symbol there that's painted that kind of zinc silver. That's no longer their chapter symbol. Their chapter symbol is now this thing, which is the Void Wolf Memorial symbol from 30K. Thank you. Yeah, his axe looks alright, even without it, but I was actually pretty proud of how that axe looked in its entirety, which is sad. But this is the Void Wolf Memorial symbol, which is associated with 30K breachers and boarding action guys. You can figure out why I chose it. This actually is an STL that I made myself. I took the art, went into a 3D modeler, and made this into a 3D model. And then made the 3D model into an STL, and then made it into a file for my printer. So these actually came from a 2D piece of art. And then I have... you're not going to be able to see it on these ones. What am I doing? Those ones are like literally facing downward. We have here... Can we get it to focus? Yeah, let's try this. Here we are. This is the symbol attached to a shoulder pad. So these are custom bits that I basically designed myself. They're designed from a book, but I actually turned these into physical components myself. Here we are. This is my favorite of the pack. Just because I like his hunched over... Here, I should actually hold him in scene, eh? It's kind of hunched over, stalking looking gait. The way he's resting his gun on his hip. Because he's just done some knife work. It's kind of hard to see in the camera. But can you see... Because he's kind of in the way, and you kind of get in the shadow. I don't know if you can actually see the dark blood splattered around his foot. But there's blood on his base. You can see the, like, rivets and the edge of the plates. I actually made those. I put those in there, down by his foot there. I actually did that myself. You got a bloody knife. Let's see if we can get that into focus. There we are. Got himself a bloody knife. He's my favorite. Although the base on this guy's my favorite. Because using a few tricks, using some gloss varnish and some slightly evenly mixed paint, there is a little pool of green chemical stuff on the ground there. It's actually not a pool. It's like, it looks like a vat because you can see the lip there, like it's something collecting down there, and there are wires running up out of it. Sorry, my shoulder is hurting. My neck has been killing me lately, so... And this... Come on. This is... Oops, sorry. My first attempt at doing an eel skin was doing these white and brown dots. The lighting's not great for the brown here. It's actually really visible on the model, but the lighting is like not cooperating here. This was my first attempt at eel skin, and it's a nice pattern, but it doesn't quite do what I want. This guy's got blue coolant leaking out of this pipe here. If I was a little bit less lazy, I would have bored a hole into this pipe right here, because these are just lengths of plastic pipe. I would have bored a hole in there, but he's got blue crap leaking out onto the ground here, just like coolant or something. He's got another eel skin. The idea is that eel skins in this from their world come from a creature that a good hunter can hunt for like an honor marking. It's like an indication that they're a patient or deadly hunter. Whereas Tide Wolf fur, which this is Tide Wolf fur. Let's see if we can get it to focus. This gray with black dots is Tide Wolf fur, which is kind of like a cross between a sea lion, like thunder wolf, and a like killer whale. They're loosely inspired by the Inuit creature known as the Aklut. Which that's basically what they have instead of thunder wolves, is they have these tide wolves. These are like indications of pack markings. You can not pack markings, like indications of prowess and respect. The same thing, he's got the collar here. Black dots are kind of hard to see in this lighting. Well, actually, I think his just, the way the wash settled kind of washed out the black dots. But he's got his collar. Of course, it's easiest to see on Ralof himself with his backpack. But also another thing that I'm doing is you'll notice the wolf tail here is, and you can see it's kind of hard to see because of the way the camera wants to focus, actually. Because you can't really have it in the foreground. The wolf tail is painted in Fenrisian wolf colors because it is a Fenrisian wolf tail. And the idea is that the only people who get to have Fenrisian wolf hides and stuff are the people who make a pilgrimage, are the warriors who make a pilgrimage to Fenris itself as like a ritual. It's kind of seen as a mark of daring, because in order to do it, you're not allowed to like take your equipment with you. You need to ask for permission. You have to traverse space to get to Fenris, and you have to get on Fenris, and then you have to hunt the wolf down, and then you have to make it back. It's like a feat of daring, of stalking the stars as like a form of honor to Russ. And so I'm trying to make these different components actually mean something when I put them on there. For example, this pelt here on the hip, this is going to be a Fenrisian wolf pelt, because Isolf Ironpeak, who is the name of this dreadnought, this is almost dry, is oh man, looks like the texture got a bit ruined there. We will be fine. This is a Tide Wolf pelt, but Isolf Ironpeak is actually from Fenris itself, because he was a part of the early history of this Primaris chapter, getting a donation, basically getting a donation of warriors, a gift in good faith, to teach them the ways of Fenris. And he was one of them. Now, their chapter history involves a whole thing where they try to force their way through the Great Rift, and it all goes disastrously wrong. And during this, Izulf was mutated. Now, he had mutations, but he also had an axe, and therefore, he did not have any mutations, after applying the axe, of course. But it left him crippled and unable to fight. And, you know, bionic rebuilding only can do so much to restore functionality, especially when you're on the other side of the Great Rift now. You're on the wrong side of the Great Rift. So, he eventually is interred in a Dreadnought, and he's actually from Fenris. Some of these are getting about... This is about dry enough to handle now. And this thing got flattened. So, let's see. Wow. I'm sorry, I'm still... I know it's kind of like tooting my own horn, but I'm still, like, blown away by this base now. It's like I just did something I didn't realize I was truly capable of, kind of moment, you know? We got the tires done. There's a long way to go for Izulf, though, because there's a lot of painting to be done. We're going to go ahead and return our boys to the shelf. And we're going to take a look at Izulf here. I'm going to hold off on the base because there's a bunch of techniques that need to be done on the base that I'm not certain about yet. So I'm going to hold off on the base. So... And I'll also need to decide how I'm going to paint these tires appropriately. These two bits are test bits. That leaves us with this piece. And this piece. Let's see. Just kind of examining my pieces here. Go ahead and get these guys out of the way. Here's my makeshift wet palette, which is probably needs... Yeah, this whole thing needs to be redone. We're just gonna hold the whole thing up in here. Throw that away. I can use these napkins, but I'm going to stand up for a second. Hopefully you'll still be able to hear me. Actually, I'm going to mute. Alright, I'm just going to need a moment to step downstairs and grab some paper towels because I need that for this particular step. Alright, now I'm coming back. I have found some paper towels. I had to climb up on the top of the fridge to get them, but I swore I had a roll, but I'm sorry for having to run off on you like that. But I'm back. That was a bit strange. I swore I had a roll up here, but guess I didn't. Shouldn't be a big deal, though. Although in this process we will be swapping out my water, so... Now, when you make a wet palette like this, and these are like simple wet palettes, is you just need a waterproof container with an airtight lid that's not too tall, and you fold up some paper towel, you put it in there, and then you take some parchment paper. It's like baking parchment paper, but you don't want the paper with wax. You want the waxless paper. Big. And you want to place it in here curl side down, so that it kind of, the natural curl of the paper pushes down. Pushes against the walls and hold it in place. Give me 1 second to grab some. You know, I'm going to take this dirty water with me too. You can see that it's very dirty. Should not hold it above my wet palette like that. That was almost a disaster, but hey, we avoided it by stint of good luck. Always feels good not to have to pay for your own stupid mistakes. I'm gonna want a bigger cup. Tell you what, we'll just take this one. Shoe pupper. Alright. And we're back. Set this here. Fill it up. And all you do, once you've done this, I don't know why it doesn't want to focus down, there we are, down there at the bottom, is you add the water, and you'll see how it beads on the surface, but what you want to do is lean it into the sides. I'm actually, this side's a little high, so I actually kind of just add a little bit directly to the, there. And we're trying to basically fill the paper towels, it should be easier to do this, and just with water, and that will cause the water to seep through and keep our acrylic paints wet. Now, another good tool that you can make for yourself is a holder. This is a prescription bottle with a wad of blue tack on the end. Blue stuff, or blue tack, is basically the same thing as green stuff, except that it never hardens and is always just a sticky putty. And you can see I'm just gonna wedge that in there, and now I have a handle to hold it by. But before we continue, we've got to look at colors. So, my base color scheme has been this azure. This is Vallejo azure. It is a blue-gray that is similar to, I'll grab another one of my dudes off the shelf here. Here, we can grab one of my earlier ones here. It is a blue-gray, just like this guy, that is a deeper blue than the Space Wolf's, like, sky blue gray, but it is still definitely blue gray. And so this has been my primary paint. Now the question here is, now the thing is I'm not going to strictly do that, just that, because I want to make this plate here, the shoulder plate, the red. I just literally picked one up to show for an example and then set it back on the shelf. Now I gotta reach back over here and set it. Should just keep it here. Here is the chapter markings. Obviously we've changed the symbol, but it's the same idea. It's this kind of red, which I believe was, I actually have this in a text folder. Instead of just randomly speculating, I can actually just open that up and read it. Which is a violet and red. It's a crimson. It's a red and purple mix. And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna paint this main shoulder plate here that color. Alright, see you around. You have a good sleep. So you have a good one, Boyle. So here, I think I'm going to paint this one in the azure as like a contrasting piece right here. Now it leaves me with the question. So here's the gauntlet, which I will probably paint azure as well. But it leaves me with the question of what color to paint the submachinery that's underneath the plating. Might have to look at a Dreadnought and see what other people do, just to get an idea. Also, what color to make the gun, because I don't want the gun to just be the same color as everything else, you know? Do I keep the fingers the same color? It's hard to say. I think I am not going to paint the fingers the same color. For fingers, I'm going to make a different color. The gun's going to be a different color. I'm going to scoot over here, and I'm going to just take one moment to look at a picture of a Dreadnought. And just see what kind of material they think, that other people think that A lot of them are doing the same colors. Okay. Okay. I think I have a better idea. I think we're gonna try and do a metallic, like a dry brushing in a silver here on this component. A darker metallic, like say my dry brushing in the zinc on the side. I even paint this black first. But this plate here, we're gonna paint azure as well. So this will be azure, this will be azure, this will be crimson. This hand plate will also be azure. So it leaves me with the fingers and the gun. I'm actually thinking almost of painting... I don't know if I want to do all of it in this black. In this, like, gray black. think the inside I'm gonna paint black and dry brush in metallics. No, I don't know. Does seem like a pretty decent idea. The fingers are a bit hard to determine. So we're going to paint this black and brush it with our zinc. Primer didn't get perfectly in there. We will be okay though. Probably do the same here. We'll make these metallics. Actually, I think I am going to paint this casing azure, and then paint this casing, these black. Yeah, that seems right to me. What about the rivets? What should I paint I think the rivets we're just going to put like little dabs of silver on. And then we're going to dip a little bit of silver into these bullet holes, like bright silver, into these little bullet holes. So that way they show up. We might even do a tiny bit of, like, tiny bit of, like, flick dry brushing. Black to make it look sooty, but I think it'll be fine without that. Okay. So, I'm going to need some brushes. I'm basically just going to do a couple steps of this part right here. Right now, and then we'll call it quits, and we'll see how it looks later. Oh, I have some of my good brushes over here. Okay, do probably want a bigger brush than that though, at least for this part. So we're going to start with our crimson. Now one of the nice things about this wet palette is that it basically adds that little bit of water you want to add to these acrylic paints to make them better suited to got some like dried paint in there. Scalpel, just gonna kind of knock that loose. Alright, let's hold on. I'm going to require a length of wire for this. Here we are. Here's a length of wire. Fortunately, this has kind of gotten a little bit jammed up, so we're just clearing it up so that it'll come out now. Just want a little bit. Wow, this thing is actually like a plug. I need a little more red. There we go. I'm gonna take a little bit of, create a little spot for some violet. This one, thankfully, I didn't need to do anything special for. This should do the trick. Gonna get ourselves basically a scoop of red. Now a scoop of violet. I probably need a little more red than that. Just gotta mix this up good. Sure. So you got this kind of like crimson color. And that's what, I believe this is what they actually call crimson. It's not quite, you know, it's more red than burgundy, but less, like it's purple and red, but more red than burgundy, but less red than just like red. We want to make sure we don't have too much in our bristles. And then we just go in. And this might take a couple coats to get done. Here, hold on. We're gonna bring the camera back slightly. Then we're gonna scoot to the side a bit so that I'm actually working in a place where you guys can see. Let's see, I'm just kind of wiping out the excess on my hand. I'm sure I could use a paper towel for that, but, you know, my hand's right here. Let's see here. Oh, that crimson has come out. Actually, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this, I'm going to sink his fingers into the plate because I actually need to paint the edge of this plate. And I don't plan on painting the inside of this plate. Or I plan on leaving it gray rather than not planning to paint it, because I want it to be like gray on the inside. I don't want it to be colored. I want to leave it gray, but the edge of the plate will be definitely painted. Actually, I'm going to switch gears with a different brush here. Use ourselves a smaller brush. For a little more control. And make sure we get the bottom edge here. Okay, actually gets in there. There we go. Look at that plate. Now this plate's not dry yet. And I don't want to... I want to wait for it to dry before I see if I need another coat. But what I can do is start working on some of the azure. Now the azure I use as is. This has been a really nice just starting color. I'm just going to put some down here. I'm going to put a healthy measure because we're going to use this color a lot. Just like before, we'll make sure that we're not got too much in our bristles. And I'm going to start on this. No, I'm going to start on the hand. That other plate needs to wait. And actually, see these domes here? Actually, yeah, I want the domes here to be... the kind of finger, like the knuckle housing. That's what it would be the knuckle. To also be azure, but the front segments will be black. And the inside of the hand will be metallics. If not, I can just paint over it later. We can decide later. So one of the things about painting is that you have to remember that you can paint on paint. And it's really easy. Mush this up so that it... Oh no. Yeah, I was afraid I would do something exactly like that. That is an easy fix. Actually, this might actually have just played in our favor, but that should not have happened. We're going to leave this off for now. We will glue it back on in a moment. For now, we're going to continue working on this this housing. I'm going to do the front edge here. Azure. We're actually going to go ahead and switch tracks to a smaller brush. That's a bit too small for this one. When it comes to this one, wow, this thing does not hold a whole lot of paint. When it comes to this gun, we're gonna go ahead. This is the Onslaught Gatling Cannon, is what I have this set as. I do not know why this is working its way loose from this frickin' blue tack. Come here, get in there. is we're doing the housing in this azure. See this, you know, the casing. I guess we're gonna call it the casing or mounting. I almost wanted to call it the receiver, but it's really not a receiver. Receiver of this weapon would be inside. He's gonna need another coat. Exacto, I fell on the floor. Let's go ahead and hit this with a bigger brush here, because we're gonna just kind of... We're not hitting it with another coat, we're just adding a little bit more on top. It's the same color. We want it to kind of blend together. We just want to make sure that it is thick enough all the way up to the edges. Weird noises. What about this housing? I think this housing we're just going to do azure because it's kind of in an awkward spot to reach. We're just going to leave that azure as well because it is kind of like, it looks like a continuous plate for the most part. Myself a small brush here. I'm going to do the inside edge here. Part of it's already been done, but I want to make sure we get it good. Just like here in between the fingers. So you got the front end here. Now we're gonna actually have to... Oh crap, I actually... You know what? She can have that glue. I'm gonna open a new one, because I want a new one, because that one was kind of getting gooky. So, we're gonna get ourselves a new super glue. And we're gonna go ahead and repair this. Because this should be mostly dry enough to handle. I wouldn't be super aggressive with it, but it'll do the trick. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Why is this not drying? Why is this sticking to me? No glue on this side. Come on. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Look at this. What's going on here? There. this thing's like not sticking at all. That's concerning. Why isn't it, It's like it's not drying. We're just gonna... That looks about right. We're just gonna leave this here. Alright, and while this is doing that, we're gonna take this piece and we're gonna start working on this plate. Same deal. This plate is just going to be azure. But gray on the inside. Not that you'll be able to see the inside, but gray on the inside. A little light there. You know, so now we got this plate done. Getting this. This is a storm bolter housing. I run mine with storm bolters. One, I think the extra shots at range. I think at close range they have more shots than the frag gun, and I think at range the you know, obviously you get 0 shots from the frag launchers at range, and so I prefer the storm bolter. Not to mention I tend to get aggressive with these things because I am a Space Wolf player after all. And so I find that them not being blast weapons and thus usable in close combat is a little bit more helpful. Excellent. We can probably get a little bit more done here before we call it. Oh, you know what? It just occurred to me. What color should I paint his head? I was actually thinking like maybe a red. Because he's got a head. I went for a Contemptor style head. Because I just kind of like that look a bit better. Where you have the embedded Space Marine head over the just like the blank sarcophagus. I prefer that look. What about this plate here? This one I think we can do like an attack. What about this plate though? I think this plate will paint black like his other shoulder will be. Because his other shoulder is a, in the Irontide Wolves, all Dreadnoughts, Chaplains, Rune Priests belong to the 13th Company. Because there are 13 companies. Just like their founder chapter. All Dreadnoughts belong to, and like the injured and the crippled, they all belong to the 13th Company. The 13th Company is called the Howl of Mordecai. It's where the damaged and the broken and the, you know... Oh, okay. Well, I just dropped that in that. It's not the end of the world, because a lot of that was going to be painted that color anyways, but... Oops. Be more careful with your models. Don't just hold them directly over your palette like me. We pay for stupid mistakes. All Dreadnoughts belong to the 13th Company, the Howl of Mordecai. Because the 13th Company is where the damaged, the soul-scarred, the hopeless, those all go to the 13th Company. In there you'd find like their Wolfen, you'll find their Lone Wolves, their Hounds of Mordecai, you'll find their Rune Priests, their Wolf Priests, and their Dreadnoughts. You find those in the Howl of Mordecai. Look at this Stormbolter housing. Painting. Something just relaxing about this. Something satisfying about, you know, doing little wiggles with your fingers and seeing all the little spots change color. It's like magic. Actually gonna leave this internal area gray for now till we decide precisely what we're doing with it. I know that this cowling is gonna be gray or azure. Cowling? Well, the cowling below it as well. Well, should that be azure? That's a good question. I haven't even looked away for a second. Got the front edge there. kind of gentle. We don't want to like push when we do our strokes, by the way. We don't, because it'll force the stuff deep into those detail recesses, and we don't want that, because that will destroy the detail. I need a stand. There we go. I'm just going to use this gold paint as a stand, just to keep them held up for now. Looking fucking fantastic. I'm gonna go back to the arm here in a second. I'm gonna paint these housings real quick. Painting these housings. Also gonna go ahead and make sure we get the gonna have to accept this. Just brush that out, just to make sure it doesn't leave a finger mark. Sorry if I've gone quiet for a second. I'm really staring intently at this thing. Alright. We're gonna let this dry. We're gonna go back to the arm. Because now this is dried. And I do think I want another coat of the crimson. So we're gonna get back another coat of this crimson. And one of the nice things about this wet palette is it will keep these things wet. So this won't dry out if you as if you throw it on a dry palette. So this paint is still good. And actually, if you close it up, you can keep it good for a much longer time than you think. That should do the trick, though. That should smooth it out just fine. So there we go. This azure plating came through fine. Gonna move to a smaller brush though, so we can work on this plate. Get the edge of this plate. Real gentle while we get in here. Let's switch over to this other side. And there we go, we have the underplate here that is now in azure. I'm going to stick with the same size brush because this might be a little bit more difficult with this size brush, but we're going to go ahead and start hitting this thing too. Get a little too much paint in that one spot though. The reason I've done it in this kind of order is that things I can bump while doing this kind of internal component are all painted azure, and so I will bump them with azure, so it won't matter. Just fell out again. And that just popped off again, and that's just infuriating. I will have to find something to do about that in a bit. We're just gonna let that sit like that for a moment. I'm rather miffed at that. So I just want you to show the progress on this guy slowly falling over. He's now completely sideways. He won't fall over anymore because he is braced. His gun has braced him against the bottle, but I just want you to know I've been watching this guy slowly slump over the whole time, and that has been amusing. On the bright side, this became a little bit easier to paint, didn't it? Once this is all dried up, I will probably end up... I don't know if I can pin that shoulder into place, but... For some reason it didn't want to stay glued. I'm going to move to a bigger brush now that we have some room. Stay in your thingy. Stay goopy. Just kinda working it in there. About one thing you want to try and do is try to keep your brush set as a tip, or with a good tip, so that you can, and you do that, but kind of as you stroke, you twist, especially when you're loading it. And I don't need perfect coverage here because this is kind of a concealed component, but I do want to get it painted. Yeah, first we need to touch up real quick. That won't be visible from any angle. Do leave that gray though. Do we? What about this piece in here? You know what? I'm gonna leave that gray. That way this will be a different color. It'll break up the model a bit more. Okay, we're gonna give this a moment to dry. I come back over here and see if there's anything I can do. Just gonna apply some more to the top there. Sometimes we're gonna add a little bit more, just because as I'm handling it, I'm gonna put fingerprints in it, and I'm just gonna kind of use a mostly empty brush to dull out the fingerprints. What color to paint this gun? Okay. Okay. Well, we know what needs to be painted. Actually, I don't want to touch this base at all till I've done the molten metal. I want to make sure I know what I'm doing with that before I touch the base at all. Which is actually, I'm going to use a lot of like test pieces. Okay, so... The question is, when I say black, what color do I mean by black? And we have to be careful because we don't want to ruin this wolf fur. Just knocking stuff over now. I'm gonna take a little bit of black and give it a little corner, a little spot right here. Shouldn't need a lot though. That should be more than enough for the whole project. An interesting note is that this shoulder pad is different. This shoulder pad does not have the secondary underplate. It's got the shape. There's no plate there. It's all solid piece. I think it might be because it's the gun arm, but it's still... I can still see the break here, so we're still going to paint that azure. And actually, we should do that first. Because we want to do this lighter color before we do anything else. Because if I go over, it'll be easier to fix. Fucking fantastic, dude. Look at this boy. I'm gonna field day with the pictures on this one. Where else could I paint? Should I paint this? You know, I'm actually... that's a good question. Do I paint the Icarus rocket pod here at the top? Do I paint its housing the same? I don't know if I do. I feel like I'd rather it be a different color. Okay. Alright, we're gonna do our last bit for the day. And then we're gonna sit and let this stuff dry. Like, completely. We're gonna work this black in. Now, black can be a dangerous color at times because it is very, if you get it on something else, it is exceedingly difficult to make go away. So you want to be very careful and deliberate when you apply black. Doing it very slow. I'm going to do this whole thing in this small brush. Because I want maximum control. Because I do not want to fuck anything else up. And it is really easy to do that with black. Because black is a very powerful color. Probably handle it like this now. We're getting there, though. Gotta make sure, especially with these small brushes, that you twist them to a point. So that way they actually paint, so you can paint with the tip. One last bit here, and then we are going to be done for this session. Actually, we have one last thing we're going to try and do. We're going to try and glue this damn shoulder plate back into place, especially since it's now kind of dried up, and where it should be. And the pieces underneath it are painted, so... Sorry, I'm holding out of screen, out of shot. So I really want to make sure I got this firmly in place. Okay. Behold the progress. You know, when you're doing your printing and you're assembling and you have a bunch of pieces and you're kind of just working them together, it kind of looks cool. Maybe you get a fitted model, but then suddenly you slap paint on it and shit gets real. Let's take one last look at our beauty here. This is the fist arm. Looking great so far. I'm really happy. I'm really glad I decided to paint these lower separate plates a different color. We have the other arm with the black, and the black does not seem to need another coat. Here, oh, I haven't painted the black in the center here, but I think we can wait on that. And of course we have the base that we did with our texture paint. So, seal this up. These will be good for next time. Brush just got cleaned up and wiped clean. Alright, I'm going to scoot back over here. And I'm going to thank you all for coming, especially you, Boyle Druid. It was really nice talking to you. But let me thank my lurkers. We got Academy Impossible, another TTTV viewer, Sidika? Yeah, Syndica is what that looks like to me. Ice Wizards, K-Pax is so sick, I remember you. And of course my other chatter, even if it was just for a moment, Sariat78. Glad to see you're still here. So I hope you all had a magical evening. We're going to go ahead and wrap it here. I'm going to sit here with my camera and take a whole bunch of photos of this absolutely beautiful piece as it's coming together. It is just so great, so lovely. I hope you learned something today. Goodbye. Have a great night.